Well, that sucked. That really sucked. But before I go any further, I got my main man, the Ace Avenues, up in the house with me today. What's going on, Ace?
Chillin', man. We know how it goes. Yankee fans are gonna overly panic about this loss, but I'm just happy to be here. Appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. We're going to recap this really quick. There wasn't much to recap. I mean, it was an underwhelming performance by the Yankees, but, what sucked more for me is that the Knicks lost. They're down 2-0 right now.
Oh yeah,
So,
that's tough.
but it is what it is. I mean, would have been nice to get more from Clark Schmidt. He went 4 2/3, 6 hits, 3 runs, 8 strikeouts though. So, and then Tim Hill came in an inning and a third with a hit, and then Yurdel Santos came in with a clean inning, and Brent Hedrick also came in with a clean inning. So, the bullpen for the most part did their jobs for the Yankees. The pitching on the Rockies side, they kept most of the Yankees bats off balance the whole night. So, with the exception of Aaron Judge, who went deep, which is great. That's number 17 for him. But, Grisham was 0 for 3. Judge was 2 for 4. Spent 398. Ben Rice 0 for 4. Paul Goldschmidt was 1 for 4. Dominguez was 1 for 3. Volpe's 0 for 3. Wells 1 for 4. DJ 0 for 2. And Vivas 0 for 3. So we had a total of 5 hits against the Rockies today. So not much to really speak home about, unfortunately. But what's your initial take on this game, man? I don't really think it's a reason to panic. And again, this is an example of the Yankees struggling against crappy teams.
So, oh yeah, definitely. Yankees have a problem with playing down to the competition. Yeah, we all know that. They really do. And then, not to make excuses for these guys, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm not Aaron Boone. But, they not just play down to the competition, coming off of traveling to the West Coast as well after yesterday's game. But this is 2 games in a row where the bats didn't really wake up. It's as simple as this. Clark Schmidt, couldn't get us through the 5th inning, did get the loss, but ultimately did do enough to keep us in this ball game. Oddly enough, a pass ball kind of screwed us in this situation. Also, the umpire was terrible in this game as well because back-to-back innings, our leadoff guy was on that got called out when he should have walked on back-to-back innings. That changed the dynamic of the game. Not to make excuses for the guys, but the bats didn't show up. We know this team, the Yankees tend to do this at times. They do tend to play down to the competition, but in my opinion, it's just one game. We mess around, get the series. No one's going to care. Ultimately, even if we lose the series, I'll be annoyed. But especially, Memorial Day weekend, we know who this team is are. It's a measuring point to who a team really is. Yankees are one of the best teams in the league. This was a sucky loss, but it's not the end of the world.
No, you're right. And again, it says we got Max Fried on the hill tomorrow, so it's a chance to kind of tie the series up at 1. And hopefully the Yankees bats will wake up a little bit. I'm glad Judge did what he did, but we need some more contact across the board from this offense. And it's just, against a team like this. And again, a guy I've been talking about for about a year now, Ryan McMahon, did us in today, the third base of the Rockies, with that 2-run double off the center field wall, right, to put them up 3-2. That's where they finished.
Almost was a home run.
Yeah.
Almost was a home run.
Yeah, it was a good hit. He's a pretty solid player. So he's a guy I've been talking about as a potential option for third base for the Yankees, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. He's not a righty, but at this point, I don't really care if he's a righty because we have Giancarlo Stanton at some point coming back, so we have a righty back coming back, and we also have Jazz. So there's going to be some reshuffling of this offense soon. And now I think when Stanton comes back, Volpe goes down in the lineup, and a couple other guys go down in the lineup too. So, but with that said, 9th win of the team. And this is, when the Yankees were winning 100-plus games, they were losing to teams like the Royals, who were losing 100-plus games. So this is not new. The Yankees struggled against bad teams for decades now. Like the 1998 Yankees, they couldn't beat the Royals, and they were losing 110 games a year. They were awful, but it just is what it is, right? There are certain teams that are kryptonite for the Yankees, right? And right now, it's just the Rockies were kryptonite tonight for the Yankees. So, but hopefully they'll at some point, we'll kind of turn up the Jets because we got the Angels next, and the Angels are kind of been surprisingly good for spurts of the season, even though they've been pretty bad. And we get the Dodgers. So these are winnable series. And I'm hoping that the Yankees can capitalize on this stuff. So we'll see.
And the Angels just swept the Dodgers. So
Yeah,
it happens.
yeah.
You know, like here's the thing: Yankee fans, we know how they are. Like we say it all the time. The fair weather fans, you know what I'm saying? We'll be having the merch roll out pretty soon, right?
Yeah.
But nah, we know how Yankee fans are. Yankee fans treat the season like one of 162 game seasons. Like every game is a season of its own. I'm not overreacting over a loss like this. It's annoying, you know what I'm saying? Because especially because it's a game that could keep you on pace to stay ahead of everybody else, which we are 5 games ahead of everybody else as of right now anyway. But it's one of those games where it's like you definitely want to get coming off of travel, you know what I'm saying? The bats looked a little bit sluggish. Cody Bellinger also didn't play. We didn't mention that yet. One of our hotter bats was not in the lineup. The Rockies are a team that, you know, you want to be able to get. Do Dodger fans feel like, you know, their team stinks because they got swept by the Angels? No. You know what I'm saying? So Yankee fans just need to, you know, pump the brakes a little bit. It's one loss, but in the grand scheme of things, if this team fucks around and wins a World Series, is anybody really going to be like, oh, but on May 23rd, you guys lost to the Rockies? Like, no.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. Well, hopefully our boy NFE is going to be the next couple games, bring us some luck next.
Oh, he's bad. No, he's bad luck. I told him on the stream today. I said, bro, like I said on the stream, I said, bro, we wouldn't, you know, we lost in the one game that you're there, bro. Like, come on.
Damn, you cursed us already, dude. You cursed us already. You might as well just give your tickets out, man.
And it doesn't hurt that I was wearing purple today too. I was trying to anti-jinx, you know what I'm saying? Because I do have I have a hat record on my channel. Everybody, you know, somebody started it. Somebody was like, you should keep a record of the hats that you wear and what their record is, right? This hat is 1 in 3. The other hats I do, you know, typically do real good. I was trying to steal a win with this hat because I love the color purple, and I was like, nope. Little did I know, I did this bad too.
Yeah, purple is one of my wedding colors, man.
Yep.
Purple and green; those are my 2 wedding colors. So, and
that's our backgrounds, purple and green. So there you go.
This is how we do it, man. This is how we do it. But gang, Ace and I here, we're gonna talk about, you know, something a little bit more fun. The early trade deadline preview. Deadline is still 2 months away, right? But now's the time to kind of start thinking about it, talking about it. You know, we'll have a better idea of what kind of what the rosters are going to look like, and they'll probably look a little bit different, and the needs will probably be a little bit different, you know, a few months from now. And then, like, I don't know about you, but to me, you know, a year you think the deadline's going to be busy, it's dead. And the year you think it's going to be dead, it's busy. So, but, you know, I wanted to see what your thoughts are on who you think the buyers are going to be, who you think the sellers are going to be, and maybe some players to look out for. You know, buyers to me, I mean, obviously the Padres, the Dodgers, but I think the sneaky buyer team is going to be the Tigers. I think they're in a position.
Yeah, I agree.
They got a good farm. They're performing well, and could you see them making a move or two? You know, I'm like, they missed out on Alex Bregman. Right. So, you know, and they do have a deep farm. And could they use one of their pitchers from Double A, like let's just say Troy Melton or something like that? Could they get a Sandy Alcantara or Freddie Peralta, add to that rotation?
I hope not, because as a Yankee fan, that would be because their rotation is already pretty decent.
Yeah, it would suck.
Like, that would be crazy. But as far as like teams that, here's what people have to realize, right? Trade deadline will be approaching in a couple of months. It will be here before you know it. Yeah. So it's great that we're doing this, and I appreciate you for having me on. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you guys subscribe to Jason from 161.
And Ace.
Yeah, appreciate it. Like the thing is, there are teams that you don't expect to be buyers, and then there are teams that you don't expect to be sellers, right? The thing that you have to keep in mind when it comes to the trade deadline is, too, with this new schedule of more teams get in, there are more teams that can compete and don't want to sell because they want to see where they're at. A team like the Kansas City Royals, who 4 games over 500, they're in a position where they're 4th in their division. We kind of expected them to have a good year. You know what I'm saying? They're kind of just in the middle of the pack. They might be on the fence about buying or selling, depending on how these next 2 months go. But then you have teams that were supposed to be in the running, like the Baltimore Orioles, that are probably going to be sellers out of nowhere. There are certain teams that, MLB teams like the Yankees, that will be buyers. I'm sure the Red Sox will be buyers. Detroit, definitely. The Guardians, Mariners, even the Astros are kind of like on that cusp right there. And on the other side, the NL, you know, the Mets might be, Braves might be too, Phillies, Cubs definitely, and then anybody outside of the Rockies in the NL West are going to be buyers. But there are teams that everybody is going to be trying to ravish. You know what I'm saying? They're going to try to get players from Chicago, from the Orioles, from the Pirates, from the Rockies. It just depends on what. Me, I'm an advocate of doing what we did last year. Make a trade before the deadline, like when we got Jazz Chisholm, because then the asking price, you're not competing as much. So make moves now, because if you wait for the trade deadline, everybody's competing for stuff. There are certain guys that we'll get to, as it goes on, that I definitely want. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But obviously the biggest name out there is Sandy.
Yeah, and you make an important point too. There's going to be a hell of a lot more buyers than sellers. So the sellers are going to set higher prices, right? Because they know there's going to be a lot of buyers, and somebody's probably going to be willing to overpay for one of their assets. Like you see, a team like the Orioles, you got Cedric Mullins, who's going to be a valuable piece, right? You got a couple other guys, maybe Zach Eflin, maybe some of their pitchers. Sagano could be a valuable pitcher for a team. And those are the types of pieces that could be really, really valuable. The White Sox. I mean, Luis Roberts having a terrible year, but if you give him a change of scenery, he might be an option for a team like the Diamondbacks, like the Phillies. Right?
Same with McMahon. Ryan McMahon too, having a terrible year, but look what he did today.
Yeah, he beat us today. We lost to Ryan McMahon. So, and it is what it is. But he could be a piece that's moved to a team that's looking for a third baseman, right? Do the Mets need a third baseman? Yeah, they do. So the Mets could go after a guy like that, right? And then I just don't know. That's why, like you mentioned, all those teams, and I want to add a couple teams I think could be buyers here. And then the Guardians. You mentioned the Cardinals potentially could be buyers because they're kind of floating around that team where they might be a little bit better than we thought, right? And they're, I don't think they're going to move Nolan Arenado now unless they get blown away by a trade. So. I think the Diamondbacks could be a candidate for somebody like Cedric Mullins. So Atlanta Braves, they need to replace Jurickson Profar. They signed him, then he was suspended for half the freaking season. So they need an outfielder, right? So could Luis Robert go to the Braves, right? Could Mullins go to the Braves? Like, there's so many little pieces there that present so many intriguing possibilities. The Cubs could be a buyer too, right?
Yep.
Like Vaughn Grissom, a second baseman from Boston. Could he be an option for them? Right? Could they go after, Sandy Alcantara and then trade Kevin Alcantara, to get Sandy Alcantara? So, there are some pieces there because at some point, if Kyle Tucker doesn't come back, how are they going to replace Kyle Tucker?
Yeah.
So could they trade for an outfielder with controllable years? So
I think when it comes to the Cubs, though, they're going to risk it all on possibly an extension and see what happens because, they're a surprising team this year. You know what I'm saying? The Chicago Cubs are, as of right now, they're 3 games up. They're kind of in buy mode and hope that they can end up re-signing Kyle Tucker. You know what I'm saying? Which, they got the market for it. You know what I'm saying? They're a big market team. It's just about how cheap they didn't want to be. But, like you were saying, there are names out there. Like I found this article that I found interesting, right? That were saying when they polled a couple of execs and the top 4 players to get trade that could be on the move this year. Sandy's one of them. Like you had said, Luis Robert Jr., Nolan Arenado, and then a name that I didn't think, Framber Valdez, is a name that executives think that could be out there as well. Could he be? See, because when it comes to the Yankees, the moves that we need to make are kind of like, you're always going to use pitching. I definitely think the Yankees are going to upgrade when it comes to the bullpen. You know what I'm saying? But could you use a middle of the road starter? You know what I'm saying? Luis Hill is coming back. That will make the rotation Fried, Rodon, who are both having good years, Hill, Will Warren, who's having a great year, and Clark Schmidt. That's 5. You could always use a middle of the rotation starter like Framber Valdez, who could be a number 1 somewhere else, but he comes over here and he could fit in perfectly. But, bullpen is a need that I think the Yankees will address because Tim Hill's got to go. You know what I'm saying? I was all for bringing Tim Hill back. I got egg and I'm eating crow on that shit. You know what I'm saying? They called up Hedrick, who looked okay. I think Ryan Yarbrough is the easy transition for that. I'm talking about lefties in the bullpen. I think Yarbrough is that easy transition because he's given us great value. But third base is obviously a need that the Yankees need as well. So our needs are very, us as Yankee fans, we know our needs are right out there. But could you add somebody like a Framber? You know what I'm saying? Could you add somebody, that's out there, but we know that there's a Yankee tax? There's a name out there that I really like, dude, that I would love to get from the Orioles organization, and that's Grayson Rodriguez. He's a young dude that has a lot of control, that has a lot of value, but it's a move that is going to be costly for the Yankees because one, he's young, he's under control, and he's got a power arm. But then being in a division, there is going, regardless of who we trade with, is going to be a Yankee tax. People think there aren't Yankee tax isn't real. It's absolutely real. Yeah, so it's going to be a Yankee tax to be able to get somebody in the division. But I would love for the Yankees to get Grayson Rodriguez.
And it's crazy too because is he? Well, my question is he gettable, right? And what the price would be. But I think you bring up an important point too about the bullpen because I think Tim Hill is now expendable. I think Ian Hamilton's getting to the point where he's expendable now. He's on like the hot seat now. And with guys like Clayton Beater and some of these other relievers coming back, could these guys be on the chopping block, on the trading block, right? You move reliever for reliever. And Ian Hamilton's got controllable years left in his contract, so he could have some value in a trade, right? And if you bring him back somebody like Beater or one of these other guys, Jay Cousins or Scott Efros, JT Brubaker, who has rehab bumped up to the Double-A. So, like, there are a couple of guys that I think could be vulnerable when these reinforcements come back. But could a guy like Kyle Finnegan be for the Yankees, right? Power arm for the Nationals. So could he be an option? He's a guy I'm kind of keeping my out for as well. But I didn't even think about Grayson Rodriguez, man. That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean, Graham said he is banged up, but he's due to start throwing at the end of this month. But by the time the 2 months comes for the trade deadline, he might be good to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's a name that you might be able to finesse from the Orioles because his injury history. But the dude's like 25 years old, man. Like, he's a name that I like, you know what I'm saying, a lot. But like I said, it would be costly though. But could you imagine him like in the middle of our bullpen, in the middle of our rotation, like right next to Luis Hill? Like, that would be dynamic for real. But it would be costly. It would cost you some guys.
What do you think it would cost?
Probably Spencer Jones. Damn. Spencer Jones would probably, the conversation would start with Spencer Jones, I think. They would want probably Ben Rice. I wouldn't go Rice. You might have to go a bigger package, maybe throw some of our young pitchers that are kind of killing it right now to kind of flip it as well. But anybody can get traded, but it would cost us because it's mostly, like you said, in division. So
yeah, that's why my fear is like, if I want to trade somebody like Spencer Jones, I want to send him to the National League. I don't want this guy going to a division and killing us for a decade. So like, or Ben Rice murdering us. Nah, that's my biggest fear for going to a team like that. But I think you're right, man. You're gonna have to give up some serious piece for a guy like Grayson. But that's an appealing piece. And again, he could be expendable. The Orioles could be serious sellers. Like at some point, they could just decide they're gonna offload some because they have so many prospects that can step in. And unfortunately for them, they don't have enough. They didn't draft enough pitching prospects. They drafted a lot of offensive prospects, but they are behind in pitching. So they could use some pitching prospects, and we have a ton of them.
And they're cheap too. They're cheap. When these guys come out on, like, for all that talk of, oh yeah, we got a new owner, like we're gonna be buyers. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna win over 100 games. Like, that shit's out the window. They let 2 guys walk. They let Santander and Corbin Burns walk. So
yeah, they're 2 top guys. You can't do that. There's no way.
Yeah.
But like, here are some teams I think, like you said, 2 Framber Valley. I do think the Astros could be sellers, and that's probably the big piece, right? I think the Marlins. I mean, with a guy like Edward Cabrera, if he gets healthy, could they trade him? The White Sox,
Andrew Nardi too.
Brewers, right? Guardians, the Brewers with Freddie Peralta. I think he'll be an attractive piece. The Angels with somebody like Taylor Ward, an outfielder. Orioles, you got Sugano, you got Eflin, Mullins. The Rockies, we talked about. Even the Angels, they got pieces too. They can trade Yohan Moncada, who's also all of a sudden healthy and hitting, right? Kenley Jansen, bullpen piece. Taylor Ward, again. The Pirates, Andrew Heaney. Like, what the fuck?
Yep.
Where was that when he came here? Tommy Pham, IKF. Like, these guys are actually producing. Caleb Ferguson, former Yankee. So, like, there's a lot of pieces out there from these teams that I think could be intriguing possibilities, and not only for the Yankees, but a lot of players that could be available. But I do think the selling teams like the Pirates are going to set their prices high because they have multiple pieces. The Orioles are going to set their prices high because they have multiple pieces. But I think the team that I fear the most at the trade line is probably the Tigers.
Yeah,
they're
definitely,
and they're already a playoff team.
Well, we also have to look at teams that have like better farms. The Yankees don't have a great farm system. Like we overvalue our prospects, but we don't have a great farm system. But other teams can outbid us. That's why we would have anytime the Yankees pick up a phone call, conversations are going to start with George Lombard Jr. and they're going to start with Spencer Jones. And I'm going click. I'm hanging up right there. Unless it's for like a Grayson Rodriguez or unless it's for somebody top tier talent. But we're going to have to see how it ultimately plays out. Bullpen is always a need that Yankees are always going to have to go after. You know what I'm saying? There's a guy that pitched in today's game that could have had his Yankee audition. Jake Bird in 20 outings this year. I took a picture of his stats. Leads all MLB relievers in strikeouts, a 1.8 ERA, 14 walks, 37 strikeouts, 30 innings. He's not going to be there at the end of the year. He's going to be gone. So is that a guy that the Yankees try to get their hands on?
He was up to 102 today. 102 with the fastball. I mean, that's Daniel Bart's fastball right there. Daniel Bart was nasty. So he's a guy too. Like, could you get somebody like that? Because I do think. I mean, I hope Fernando Cruz comes back healthy. I like Cruz. He to me is the righty long relief guy, and I think what's his name? Yarbrough is the lefty long relief guy, right?
Yeah.
And who can also be a spot starter. So we're getting great value from both of these guys. And I think Cruz was a little bit overused in the beginning. But that's also because we weren't getting what we were hoping for from Will Warren, Cookie Carrasco. So it kind of left Boone's hands tied. Stroman. So and now the other thing with Stroman too, we know that he's not going to get that option triggered now. So that makes him a more appealing trade option, I think. Could he be moved now? Even for I don't care for what it is, for a prospect or whatever. Now because a team is not trading for that second year option now. They just be trading for whatever they get left for a guy that could be healthy in a playoff run or something like that. So I think his trade value went up now that we know that he's not going to get that option trigger for 2026. So do you agree with that? Do you have a different take on that?
No, I've been with that from the jump. I think teams like Angels, the A's could be an appealing team for him because they need to take on, they need to take on cap, you know what I'm saying, like contracts, stuff like that, just to be able to sell stuff. That's an appealing move because it comes off the books next year. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's, all that stuff is gone, you know what I'm saying? And it's less than the luxury tax. I could see that as a move, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to get much in return, but Yankees are going to have to do their homework on them, maybe get a middle of the road prospect and just call it a day. And they might have to eat a little bit of that Marcus Stroman because, like I said, his value might be up, but that contract is still 18. So the Yankees might have to eat maybe three of it. You know what I'm saying? And he's a guy that could be on the move. Other guys that could be out of here, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily traded away, but out of here sooner rather than later. Tim Hill could be out of here. Ian Hamilton's not panning out this year. He could be out of there, especially with the return of Jake Cousins, who should be coming back. Cousins has a filthy slider. We're getting good innings out of Yuri De Los Santos. You know what I'm saying? So maybe they keep him up. We're getting great value out of Ryan Yarbrough. Maybe they keep him up. But bullpen is a piece that Yankees definitely will always jump on. You know what I'm saying? We saw the last couple of years. You know what I'm saying? Middleton was a piece that they got. Mark Leiter Jr. is a piece that they got. So bullpen is something that you always need, especially with how our strategy is. Boone loves going to the bullpen really early. So it's something which you need. But the glaring thing out there, man, we need a third baseman. Because when Jazz comes back, I see people in the chat talking about trade. Jazz ain't going nowhere. Jazz not going nowhere. But we need that third baseman. Are you going to move DJ LeMahieu over to third? Like, what third base candidates are even out there that's available? You know what I'm saying? Like, John
Heyman said today that they might move Jazz back to third and keep DJ at second to try to keep him healthy. I'm not a fan of that.
I'd rather have the reverse because I trust DJ's glove and experience at third more than I trust Jazz's experience at third. You know what I'm saying? And we saw today. Look at today's game. 2 hits right past DJ LeMahieu's glove. If Jazz was out there, who's a little more athletic, does he get to those balls? DJ LeMahieu couldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like his you know what I'm saying, his reach helps him out there. But we saw 2 pitches and he was shifted over that just passed his glove. Can Jazz get there? I think so. I trust DJ more at third, but we need to upgrade that third base position.
Yeah, I mean, I like Jazz's arm better at third, but I like DJ's awareness and experience better. Like, it's kind of the hybrid between two. I like Jazz better for certain things. I like DJ better for certain things. But like, I would love Ryan McMahon. I would love Brendan Donovan, but I don't think either one of them are going to get moved. So, who else? Who else could be out there as an option for third base? I mean, Jesus Rodriguez is an in-house guy, and Susan did say that the reports are saying that several teams were interested in Stroman. Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, I hope the Yankees find find a taker. I really do. And I wish Stroman well either way. But like, who could be an option for third? I mean, I don't know if you heard or following Jesus Rodriguez. He had 3 hits today. He's up to 393 now in AAA, and he's got a cannon for an arm from behind the plate. But he also has about 90 games played at third base, and he's a righty hitter, and he's in house. So if we don't make a trade for somebody, maybe he's somebody that they could consider calling up and giving a shot to. Maybe. He's the only guy I can think of in house that I would be willing to give a shot to. By the way, based on the way he's playing right now. I heard, I'm hearing chatter that Ben Rice is taking some practice at third base, but I don't know how much teeth that has. So I don't know.
I've been on that train for a while already, and people called me crazy. I have been, dude. I've been saying it for like weeks to months already. Like, why not? Because what's going to happen? That's going to solve that Stanton, problem when he comes back. But, I'd rather them do it now than later if they were going to do it, because also could the Yankees be like, Trent Grisham's been great this year, but he's also starting to come down to earth a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Could the Yankees, I don't think the Yankees go out there and get another outfielder, but we're going to have to make some sort of moves to complete this team, because this team feels like it's 1 or 2 moves away from being completely complete. You know what I'm saying? Third base, and then we need another arm out the bullpen, because, like I said, the team is going to get stronger when Luis Hill gets back.
In an ideal world, what would be that third base piece for you?
One of these young guys pan out, man. Bring up George. Not this year. If we're talking about this year, I don't think we have an in-house option. I think George Lombard Jr. could be potentially in the future, but he's still a ways away. I'm not one of these Yankee fans that be like, oh, just bring him up. No, he needs to develop. We know the Yankees fast track guys through AAA. That's a whole different conversation. But he needs to marinate a little bit in AA. Trade targets. Arenado's the big name that's out there. Yankees and them had failed already in that conversation. Could they re-engage that? That'll be another right-handed bat, and we have to add also Giancarlo Stanton coming back. It's just, there's not a lot of third. I'm looking at everything, dude. There's not a lot of top infield talent available out there. So the Yankees are going to have to work with what they have, unless they're willing to go above and beyond and make a trade for somebody,
Yeah, and that's the thing. What third baseman are you going to get? And Arenado, he's got 2 years left on his deal. So I don't want to inquire. I don't want to bring in somebody that's going to block Lombard at a certain point. No. I want there to be a transition from the third baseman to Lombard when he's ready. And I think he'll be, if he keeps progressing, I think 2027 is probably the year it's going to happen. Maybe he might get a shot next year. I don't know. So would Spencer John. We just don't know, right? They got to continue to develop. But who's going to be that transitional piece in a trade? And I agree. And Arenado's probably the guy, but at what cost? Can you send Stroman back there as some type of salary trade-off? Right? They tried that earlier and it didn't work. They offered Stroman for Arenado straight up, and it didn't. The Cardinals didn't do it. So I don't know. But now that we have a little bit more clarity on 2026 not happening in terms of the option, maybe the Cardinals will be more willing, especially if they move somebody like Fetty or Sonny Gray somewhere or something like that. So I don't know.
There's a name out there. I've said a couple times, and I've been in love with this name, but it's going to cost you because they're also a contender. Alec Bohm.
From the Phillies,
Alec Bohm. Yeah. Dude, he's guaranteed this year. Yeah, starts arbitration next year, and then a free agent after that. That's not blocking George Lombard Jr. I think I've been saying this for a while. I think Alec Bohm is a name that's really appealing to me. He's got a negative .4 WAR, but it happens. You know what I'm saying? 264 average, hitting them down in the order. 3 home runs in a year, so the power numbers are down. Could Philly be looking to move on from him? You know what I'm saying? I don't think that would cost us much. They're in need of relievers because of what just happened with their reliever being suspended. We have plenty. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying give away Devin Williams, not Devin Williams, not, not Luke Weaver or anything like that, not Fernando Cruz, but could it take a package of relievers, you know what I'm saying, that you give away to kind of bring them in? We have what they need, they kind of have what we need. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's a match made in heaven, you know what I'm saying? Would you flip with Jonathan Loáisiga for him? I would.
Yeah. Or could you go
I'd flip Johnny Lowe for him?
Could you go Hill and Hamilton together?
Yeah, right. No, they're not taking that combination. That's not going to happen.
Loáisiga might be an intriguing option too.
I wish, hey, I got 3 trash players that I would love to get rid of. Hill, Hamilton, and Scott Efros. Just take them all, but they're not going to do that. So
Scott Efros can't stay healthy, man. Like
I forget he's on the team.
Yeah, man, and he's got mad controllable years too. He just can't stay healthy. Mm-hmm. Can't pitch.
We lost that trade. I forget who we gave up for them, but we lost that trade because he doesn't play.
Hayden Wesneski.
Yeah, but we lost the trade. He doesn't play.
Yeah, and Wesneski now just had Tommy John, so he's hurt too. So, but either way, the Cubs and the Yankees both lost the trade. It's a shit trade for both teams. So, unfortunately, David Cohen, you got the trade. What's the trade, David Cohen? I'm hearing something.
Yeah, let us know.
People are saying Eugenio Suarez. I think he's a free agent at the end of this year too, and he plays third base too, and he hits righty with some serious power. But what would it cost to get Suarez? My question. I don't know.
They're 26 and 25. They're in the hunt. See, here's the tricky part though. Like I said, because of the playoff format, teams are gonna feel like they're in it longer than they're out of it. Back when only 4 teams made it in, it was a different story. You know what I'm saying? Because we knew who was getting in. But with this wild card, stuff like that, teams that are on the outskirts looking in, like Arizona Diamondbacks, can be like, okay, we just need a couple of pieces and we can make a run. And it can happen. We've seen teams make runs. Look at the Tigers from last year. The Tigers, remember last year's deadline? The Tigers were on the verge of being sellers.
Yep.
They were. And then they held strong.
Yeah.
And then they went on a run.
There was talks about trading Skubal. I'm like,
I know. And I would have traded Spencer Jones for Skubal.
So would I have. He was probably the only guy I would have traded Spencer Jones for, or even Dominguez. I would have given one of those guys for Skubal. So
I like this. What David said. I'd do that.
I would too.
Because you got to give up something. Lagrange, his name doesn't look right to me, but he's pitching well right now, right?
He is.
But you got to give up something to get something. I do that.
You keep Loáisiga in this situation too, which I would rather keep Loáisiga over Hamilton if I could.
Yep. And you get rid of Pereira, who has no spot on his team.
Yeah, true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, especially when Spencer Jones comes up. Look for, also guys that could be offloaded for Yankees. Peraza might be out of here. Like we're not going to get much for him, but Peraza could be out of here as well. Like, I wish that, within the next 2 months, he ups his trade value. We have no more options with him. And defensively, you know what I'm saying, he's not giving us any, offensively, he's not giving us anything. And he's had about a week and 2, and where his defense has kind of been suspect. So if you're not playing defense, what are you? What are you on this team?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you see him all. Well, the A's, just to clear, like the A's called Philly about Alec Bowman. They asked for Mason Miller, and the A's hung up. So I would have
said no too. I'm not giving him Mason Miller.
There's no way you're going to give Mason Miller for Alec Bowman. So, but yeah, they did try to make that happen, but their ask was crazy. Like Mason Miller, that's it's really hard. That's really hard to justify. But Pereira, I can't see Pereira playing third base. So
he's an outfielder.
Straight up outfielder at this point.
Outfield DH/DH. He's not playing infield.
Yeah, he's got a good bat though from the righty side too. He's been hitting for some more power this year as well. Back from offensive Tommy John too. So, he could be a trade piece in the near future.
Absolutely.
Dude, I don't know. Sunil got jokes, man. You can't trade content creators for content creators. You're crazy, Sunil. Yeah. Trade Volpe, Cadzilla. Who would you trade Volpe for? I heard that trade, but you heard that crazy trade proposal, Volpe for Ozzy Albies from the Braves?
Yeah, pass.
Yeah. Why would you do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pass. Volpe hit a grand slam in a World Series. I'm good. I don't want to do that. Yeah. He's a Gold Glover. Ozzy Albies' numbers are trash.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that either, man. And who do you hit the grand slam off? Flaherty? Flaherty, right?
Yeah, I forget who he hit it off of, but no, I'm not trading. What about Josh Young from the Rangers? They're not trading him. One of the Youngs would be nice, but they're not. It would cost a lot because the Youngs, no pun intended, are young. Like, so it's not going to. It would cost a lot. Like a Josh or a Jace would cost you,
Tigers,
especially because especially Jace. and the Tigers, Jace is going to cost you. Josh, maybe depending on where they finish out, but the Rangers are 25-27. They're only 5 games out of the West. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the Mariners are dealing with a lot of pitching injuries as well that they're trying to overcome. So, like I said, it's going to be hard to tell who sells. Like, even teams like the Athletics, they're 22-29, 7.5 out, but you just never know if you make a run because the season's still, we're not even in Memorial Day yet. We're in Memorial Day weekend, but there are like a handful of teams that are sellers. The Rockies are sellers, Pirates might be, Marlins, and then the White Sox and Orioles. Those are the only teams I see right now that if the deadline was here, they'd be sellers. So I would try to get players from those organizations that can pan out,
Yeah, and I can't see the A's trading Jacob Wilson. Their shortstop. They're not that Wilson for Volpe's not going to happen. So that would, well, Bichette might be available too, but and he's from the Blue Jays. It would cost the Yankee tax cram. Yeah, it would. I mean, where would you play him? Can he play third?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I would rather have. I probably would rather have Arenado over Bichette for third base.
Mm-hmm.
I would. Arenado's a straight up wizard over at third base, man. That dude's probably got the best glove of all third basemen in baseball. So, and he's got that clutch gene back this year. So he's hitting. But here's a couple other players I would keep an eye out for too, like Nate Lowe from first baseman from Washington, Brandon Lau from Tampa Bay, Stroman obviously. Is it Leonardo Bernal?
Banks too.
Yeah, Leonardo Bernal too is a switch hitting catcher from St. Louis Cardinals too. He's 21 years old, so I would keep an eye. And Kyle Finnegan from the Washington Nationals. So a couple names that non-sexy names, but I think could be impactful pieces in a trade. Who do you think? I mean, aside from the Tigers, who else do you think could make the most noise? Like, I think that. Aside from I think the Diamondbacks can make some noise. I think they have to do something if you want to get past the Padres. I could see the Padres going after someone like Luis Robert too. So a change of scenery guy, and they're always buyers at the deadline. They're always aggressive. Yeah. So I can see the Dodgers probably going after pitching.
Wait, there's one more name out there too. Ramon Urias could get thrown out there. You know what I'm saying? Like Ramon Urias, you know what I'm saying? Like he's a name that he's not the move, but he could be a piece, you know what I'm saying? Like he's down to his last year of arbitration. No, he's got this year and the next year, but 3.1 million. I can see him as a move at Baltimore because I'm looking at the Orioles roster to see like what moves would I like to make for the Yankees to kind of like get there. Besides Grayson Rodriguez, like I said, it's just like because they've been trash this year, man. I'm surprised at the downfall of them.
Brutal, absolutely brutal Orioles. So
like you were saying, Cedric Mullins, he might be done.
Yeah, it's the right move for them to trade some pieces. Like you probably send Mullins to the Diamondbacks and probably get a decent piece back, right? Or send him to the Braves and get a decent piece back. So
Mateo might be out of there.
Mateo, yeah. There's some guys that could be get. There's guys that can get moved, and I would look out for the Cubs too. I could see them striking, especially if they're dead serious about keeping Tucker. They're gonna want to add to Tucker, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think if they bring in an outfielder, then maybe they're thinking on the back end, if in case we don't sign Tucker, we got an outfielder who can replace him afterwards. So I'd be curious to see what type of moves they make. The Cubs leading up to the deadline and before the deadline.
I agree with what Graham said.
William?
What Graham said, I agree. The Red Sox have the farm to do it.
The Red Sox have the number one prospect in all baseball.
Yeah.
Right? Roman Anthony. So he's top guy. I mean, if anybody could trade for Paul Skeens, it's the Boston Red Sox. Right?
Speaking of Skeens,
I don't see Skeens being moved, but if somebody wants to blow the Pirates away, the Boston Red Sox can do just that.
Yeah. I came across this podcast on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? It was just two guys talking, right? The title was Who Hangs Up First in This Mega Deal, right? Padres would give up Paul Skeens and Key Brian Hayes to the Yankees for George Lombard Jr., Ben Rice, Will Warren, Jason Dominguez, and Spencer Jones. Who hangs up first? Ooh. That's a mega deal, dude. Like, Keep.
I would say the Yankees probably.
Mm-hmm.
I like your Brian Hayes, but I think that
I do too.
that's
a name that I want. I want to keep Brian
third
Hayes.
base, right?
Mm-hmm.
Third
Exactly.
base.
Yeah.
Probably Hayes' son. I think he hits righty, so he's young. He's got controllable years. So, I think the Pirates would have to add another piece for the Yankees.
Here's the thing, right?
That's a monster trade, man.
If you made this trade,
oh my God,
that is. I'm just okay. This is just a hypothetical situation. I wouldn't because of Dominguez. Dominguez is the piece that's holding me up. So I'm like, no.
You had Lombard, Dominguez, and Spencer Jones in one trade.
Yeah, it said Lombard, Rice, Warren, Dominguez, and Jones. But the one piece for me that's holding me up is Dominguez. So if you got back Paul Skeens is one of the best pitchers in the league. Probably will be the best pitcher in the league in another year. Keep Brian Hayes gives you the ability to win now. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about this hypothetical situation for anybody that's coming in out of context. This wasn't our idea, right? George Lombard Jr. is a prospect, and so is Will Warren. We don't ultimately know what's going to happen. There are three guys that are currently helping us win right now: Ben Rice, Will Warren, and Jason Dominguez. Jason Dominguez is a stud, and I think he will be a stud. Will Warren, in my opinion, is replaceable. We have arms. You know what I'm saying? And you can go get yourself another pitcher. Ben Rice is a question mark because I like Ben Rice. I really do. And I think he's very versatile. But the thing that holds me up from this is Jason Dominguez. I would hang up the phone if they said anything. If they threw this trade at me and they include somebody else besides Dominguez, I might be inclined to do it because it's Paul Skeens and it's a third baseman that we need.
What if they said Pereira instead of Dominguez?
Instead of Dominguez? Oh, I'd do it. Yeah. I would do it because look, we don't know what George Lombard Jr. and Spencer Jones are ultimately going to do. And like you said, we're sending them to the NL. So we don't know. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to see him. But Rice, I feel like I would miss Rice, but I'm not going to let Rice hold up getting a Paul Skeens. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to let Will Warren hold up getting a Paul Skeens. You know who'd be pissed if this trade went through? L.I. Yankee King, because he loves Rice and Will Warren.
Yo,
he might be a Pirates fan after this.
He would go on a 10-state killing spree, that guy, man. Oh, my God. But look at the...
But not... Yeah.
Will Warren is a massive... You go from Will Warren to Paul Skeens, that is a huge upgrade.
Right?
Like a monster upgrade. And then you get Gerrit Cole back next year. You add him to Paul Skeens. And then you add Max Fried. And I'm like, oh my God. That's
what I'm saying. The only person that you're not that you're not replacing is Jason Dominguez. You know what I'm saying? That's what's holding me up. Because the prospects, okay, George Lombard Jr., it would suck because we haven't got to see him. Same thing with Spencer Jones, right? But you still have an outfield. This wouldn't stop you from going to get Kyle Tucker next year. So you don't even think about Spencer Jones if you go out and get Kyle Tucker next year. You know what I'm saying? So therefore you have Dominguez. You still have Bellinger on the contract, Kyle Tucker, Stanton, Judge. You know what I'm saying?
And if you trade Rice, Ben Bellinger can move over to first base.
Exactly. That's what I would do. But let's put it like this. I like Ben Rice, but I'm not letting him hold up me getting a Paul Skeens. You know what I'm saying? Because then Key Brian Hayes is our third baseman, and Paul Skeens is a major upgrade over Will Warren.
Oh my God. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to sleep tonight thinking about this trade. Shit.
This was a trade that I came across on Instagram. I was like, I got to throw this by Jason to see what he thinks. But Jason Dominguez holds me up because I'm like, no, especially what we saw the other day. This motherfucker hit a walk-off home run. I'm like, Dominguez he looks like he's him. Yeah,
he's coming. He's coming into his own, man. He's coming into his own. I was been waiting for this to happen. Like we needed to see this happen because this guy has been bestowed so much hype for years. Like it's nice to kind of have him, he's not self-imposed hype. Other people have bestowed this upon him. So it's nice to see him actually play up to the hype that's been bestowed upon him, which is, I think it's unfair expectation when you tell somebody he's the next Mickey Mantle. Like, I mean, that's a little crazy, right? So, and that's unfair for the kid, but he's shown that he can be pretty damn good. And I think Spencer Jones is going to be a beast too, but like you're right too. We haven't seen him. And we haven't seen, George Lombard either. I like them, but if you get Paul Skeens and Brian Hayes got mad controllable years, so you kind of have that covered. and you got Skeens got 4 years of control after this year. So, and that's we're trading 6 years of Spencer Jones, 6 year of Lombard, but you're trading it for two big pieces with controllable years. So, and that to me, like I wouldn't do it if Skeens had like 2 years left and Brian Hayes had 1 year left. I wouldn't do it. 1 year left.
Yeah,
but these guys have 4 or 5 years each. Then that's kind of makes it a more of an even level trade for me. So that's something I could probably stomach a little bit better.
Yeah, Brian. Like I said, Dominguez makes it a no for me. I can't. I really can't. if it was anybody else but Dominguez, even if you put in like a Pereira and you're doing somebody else, like I'm fine with it. But Dominguez makes it a no for me. But Paul Skeens and Key Bryant Hayes, like that would be that's a win now move. This would definitely be a mega deal, which is what it's titled as. It would be a mega win now move because think of how cheap Paul Skeens is now too. Like that gets you under the luxury tax, under the tax a lot.
Big time. This reminds me of like when the Red Sox and the Dodgers made that trade. It was like Adrian Hernandez and Josh Beckett and all those guys in that one trade. It was like this monster trade. This would be one of those kind of crazy ass trades because we haven't seen a trade like that. It's not like the NBA where they trade like 20 players in 4 teams. It's like this would be one of those trades of that big proportion. So my God, I can't think of a bigger trade. I can't.
I mean, there are other teams that have more to give up, but we got those are some big names though. Like,
yeah, man.
I would hate to see Spencer Jones not put on a Yankee uniform, especially with all the hype that he's got, and now all the hype that George Lombard Jr. has got. But I'm gonna take a page out of like our guy Hector from Uptown Sports. Hug your girlfriend, don't hug your prospects. You don't know what these guys are gonna pan out to be. But Dominguez would probably make this a no for me. But if it was, I'm very, very tempted.
Again, you're sending them to the Pirates, so.
Oh yeah.
I'm not sending them to the Dodgers, sending them to the Pirates.
Which knowing the Pirates, you might get them back in a couple of years anyway because they don't pay anybody. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's like I don't want to trade for Paul Skeens. So like it's only a matter of time before he's a Yankee. He'll hit free agency. You overpay him then. By that time, Cole will be out and he'll take over as our number one.
And he's going to be 26 when he's a free agent? Maybe.
Yeah, something around there.
25. So he'll be hitting prime like Juan Soto did. So he'll be he'll get, if he pitches like this, he's going to get the biggest contract. He'll get a bigger contract than Cole, bigger contract than what the hell's his name, Yamamoto, all these guys. So, and yeah,
the more we talk about, the more he's intrigued.
Yeah, exactly, CeeLo. Preach it to the crowd. I think the three of us are vibing here on this, man. This is, damn. You got me thinking, bro.
That's a mega deal. Like I said, man, I'm this. If this happened, and you saw breaking news, Yankees trade for Key Bryant Hayes and Paul Skeens, but give up Lombard, Rice, Warren, Dominguez, and Jones. My first thought is probably let's go. But I'm like, I'm gonna miss Dominguez because he was another like guy that. But I'm gonna be like, this is a win now move. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the piece that would make it feel less of a dick punch is if they sign Kyle Tucker in the offseason.
Afterwards.
If you're going to give up Dominguez and Jones and Lombard, you got to sign Kyle Tucker. You got to do it. Like, because then you'd have Kyle Tucker.
Tax be damned.
Yeah. Like, and he's going to cost $5 bills. You know he's going to cost $5 bills, Tucker. So, but, you're getting all these dudes on the cheap. So, and at this point, if you can move Stroman at some point, because you're going to be moving Stroman's contract off the books too. That's $18 million they're not going to be paying next year. So it'd be it's Tucker's probably going to make 40, so something like that. They can make this math work. So, but that would be the CeeLo. Tucker's with the Cubs. He got traded to the Cubs from the Astros. And he's a more advanced version of Spencer Jones, developmentally ahead. Because Spencer Jones is a converted pitcher, and he's got a lot of the same skills that Tucker has. Like a big guy who hits lefty, elite defender in the outfield, hits ball power and contact. So he's just a couple of years ahead developmentally of Spencer Jones.
Good base runner too.
Yeah, and a great base runner too. So you'd be getting an advanced version of Spencer Jones. But like I said, if you're going to move Jones and Dominguez, you got to get Tucker, man. That's the only way that. Only
Look, the bad luck is in the bad luck is in the building. Look who it is. NFE, my guy. What's good, brother?
Yeah. What's up, bro?
I want to see. I know we've been on this topic for a minute, but I do want to see what NFE thinks of this. NFE, we were talking about this hypothetical mega deal between if the Yankees and Pirates, if the Pirates traded Paul Skeens and Ke'Bryan Hayes for Lombard, Rice, Warren, Dominguez, and Jones, would you do it? What do you think his answer is going to be, Jason?
Oh, NFE, hang on one second. I'm going to send you the link. If you want to get on it, I want people to hear what you want to say. I want us to hear what you want to say, too. I think we need to see a face.
He says, hell no.
Because we're like, yo, hell no. Yeah, I'm going to say, if you want to hop on, bro, you can. Yeah. So I just sent you the link, dude, because I would love to hear what your take is on this, too.
Yeah. But back to Kyle Tucker, though.
Motherload. That's the motherload of trade, man, right there, man.
Exactly. But Kyle Tucker, though, Kyle Tucker's proven at this point. You know what he is. We don't know what Spencer Jones is going to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love the hype of Spencer Jones. It's good to say, okay, the left-handed Aaron Judge, but Kyle Tucker's already proven this league. This year, 278, 12 home runs, a 2.1 WAR. He's having a great year. 14 steals on top of that. Like, dude, he's a proven commodity.
Yeah, he's, 30-30, 40-40. He's going to be one of these guys, like, with elite defense in the outfield. Like, my God, man, damn. But I think that's the one piece. I think for me to feel better about this trade, you have to sign Kyle Tucker, too. That kind of takes some of the sting off. Because this trade is going to feel like a little bit of a dick punch. But I think it's going to be for less of a dick punch. I think you get Kyle Tucker.
Yeah.
Just like think of that roster, yo. You get Tucker, you get Skeens. Hell, damn.
That rotation. Nah. Well, even before Tucker, just think of that rotation next year that you could have Cole, Freed, Skeens. Bro, who's beating you? Don at the 4, Luis Hill at the 5? Like, bro, who's beating that rotation? That's the MLB The Show rotation. That is like, that would be tough. And then you'd have a lineup of, infield of Jazz at second, Volpe at short, Ke'Bryan Hayes at third, Goldschmidt at first, Belly in the outfield, Judge, Stanton, Wells.
Damn.
And like I said, Dominguez for me is the only thing holding it up. Like I said, if it wasn't for I love Dominguez and the hype that he brings, but even if he doesn't pan out, it's just like we got to see. I got to see it.
He's got that. He got that it factor though. He's in the right headspace all the time. He carries himself well. He's just kind of like. I like the way he goes about himself, like, and I think that's important too. I feel good about this team. Just the chemistry in this team is really good right now. The vibe on this team is really good. So, and they seem to be not phased with these losses. So I can see them coming back tomorrow with a kind of a vengeance. And yeah, this dick punch, CeeLo. Yeah, you know what I got that line from? I got that line from The Martian, Matt Damon. When he was stuck on Mars and he said the dick punch.
That's a good movie.
It's a great movie, man. I love The Martian. And that it kind of feels like a dick punch. A trade like that, and you're gonna get Skeens, it's gonna have to hurt. It's gonna have to hurt. Like,
oh yeah, you can't get something for nothing. That's life. You don't get nothing. You don't get something for nothing. You got to give up. Look, a good trade is where everybody feels like they got dick punched. Everybody feels like they got over. Like that's a good trade. Like when you do the fantasy football trades and you feel like you got screwed and he feels like he got screwed, that's how you know it's a good trade.
Yeah, and you know what? I'd rather them do it before Paul Skeens says, "Yo, you gotta trade me, get me out of here." Like, if he does that, then they're gonna lose leverage. So I mean, I would love that, but like, I can't see that happening. But they could essentially keep Paul Skeens. But why would you keep your franchise guy there if you're not going to build around him? What the hell's the point? Right? Get a bunch of guys that you can surround Brian Reynolds with and some of these other guys with. Because I don't think IK can carry the offense.
Yeah, I am curious if NFE's still here. He said, "Hell no." What piece is holding up NFE from making that deal?
Yeah, what's your hesitation, brother? Give us some insight, man, please. You still on? Is it? I mean, the Jones Lombard combo hurts. But the Jones, Lombard,
Mm-hmm.
Dominguez trio really hurts. That's damn.
But then you also think of the trio you could have with Skeens, Fried, and Cole, and that might make it a little bit better.
Oh God! And you get some replacement in offense with Brian Hayes. You get some speed. You get some athleticism. You get you get some of that as well. And again, like if you're replacing Dominguez or Jones with Kyle Tucker, okay, all right, right. I don't know why now the Yankees operate.
I mean, okay.
Okay. Well, whatever that means.
I mean, when you start the first game on a road trip flat as a doorknob, I mean, it happens. It's baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, what happened when the Dodgers beat the Dodgers fell to the Angels? Were they doormats too? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This is.
Yeah, but I'm looking at Key Bryant Hayes' stats, right? He's a guy I think we should go after regardless. Either Key Bryant Hayes or Alec Bohm is a third base replacement I think the Yankees should go after regardless, even if Skeens isn't attached to the deal, because he's just a guy like 28 years old, just turned 28. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think he can give us some production, especially from the bottom of the order.
And what does Hayes have? 3 or 4 control years left on his contract? He's on a cheap deal. Key Bryant Hayes. They locked him up for cheap. I think it's 3 years, man, or maybe 4. So you get the guy with several years, and that's, I mean, you're going to give up a controllable piece. You got to have to get a controllable piece back. So
yeah, and he's also a guy that I'm sure it wouldn't take much. So whenever George Lombard Jr. is ready, you can just flip him somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Because he's under control, dude, until 2030. Which then is a club option. So actually 2031 is where he's under control too. So like I said, he's a piece that I feel like at making $7 million this year, next year, then it goes up to 8, 2028, then it goes up to 12, club option 2030. I feel like he's a controllable piece that you can bring in and he can play well for us now. And then whenever whenever George Lombard Jr. is ready, and if he takes over at third, if he's not taking over for Volpe by then, he's a guy that you can just flip easily, you know?
Yeah. And that's probably the way to do it. I mean, again, and I like having that versatility too. You know, I like having a more athletic Yankees team, a more versatile Yankees team, a younger Yankees team. So it's and speaking as a former baseball player too, it was always better when we had more athletes on the team. We had just the ability to actually manufacture running and runs and just activity and so on and so forth. So anytime we can add somebody like that, Graham, we try to bring this rational thought, man. We try to bring, but this is that's a baller ass trade though.
You're stuck on that now, huh?
Yeah, that's a monster trade. Like damn, Oof.
Dude, that would knock you if that, because it obviously was a hypothetical situation. If that happened, that would knock you out your seat. You'd be like, "Holy shit, I got to go live and talk about it."
I would go. I'm 3:00 in the morning. I would go live. I'd be talking to the people in Europe and people in Japan. I don't care. I don't care who I'm talking to, but like that's worth going live at any point in time during the day. Like, oh my god, that's one of those things you probably get 1 million views.
Yeah.
Shit.
It'd be crazy. That short update, the Yankees just did this. You'd be like, well, but wow. Like, yeah. That's a George Steinbrenner move.
It is a
George would do that no problem. If George was live today, make it happen.
He would have no problem giving up that package. No problem at all.
Nope. None. Nope. He wouldn't bat an eye. He wouldn't lose a wink of sleep over it.
Nope.
He would have made this deal as soon as Garrett Cole got hurt.
Probably. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'll give you whatever you want for Paul Skeens. Whatever you want, bro.
Yep.
And this could have been a 12-player trade, something like that. But
and he would have did it.
Now you're in my head, bro. I can't stop thinking about this trade, man. Shit.
Yeah, it was a good topic. Like I said, when it popped on my IG feed, I was like, I gotta talk about this with Jason tonight. Like, definitely. But
that would be a much. I mean, I would rather do something like that than some other guy proposed. From I think Sporting News proposed trading Lombard, Hill, Ben Hess, and a couple others for Rafael Devers. And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't do that.
Not to the Red Sox. Not to the Red Sox. And then on top of that, it would probably cost us more because it is the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Like Red Sox, yeah. And Devers is a pain. Devers seems like a pain in the ass. Like the off-field stuff that he's going through, I don't want to deal with that. You want to talk about messing up chemistry? Like, yeah.
I don't think he's a fit. He's refusing to play first base. Like, I could see Rhys Hoskins being traded to the Red Sox for first base from the Brewers. So, I think they would get somebody in there for first base. But like, how could you do your team dirty like that? I mean, Cassis got hurt for the entire year. I would step up and play. I mean, you got Aaron Judge taking reps at first base. You got freaking Ben Rice taking reps at third. You got Bryce Harper openly offered, said if you traded Devers here, I'd move back to the outfield. Like, selfless players across the board, man. I don't think that's why I don't think he would be a fit here, Devers, because of that attitude. You're right; it would disrupt the team chemistry. That's one reason I would not be in favor of bringing Trevor Bauer here either. But that's just me.
Well, David mentioned Gleyber Torres did it to us. I mean, Gleyber Torres was a name that if he could have moved over if he was willing to change positions, maybe he could have stayed. You know what I'm saying? But he was the same thing. I'm a second baseman. Are you? Dude, you're leading the league in errors. Are you? Like, come on.
Yeah, and
reasonable. Maybe.
Yeah, Gleyber Torres cost himself $100 million in free agency. So
could you see them trading him though? Because that might be a situation where maybe they'll try to get something for him because they could have nothing for him next year if he walks away.
They could. I mean, if he keeps playing well, they may try to lock him up. But if you're gonna move him, you're gonna have to get somebody like Sandy Alcantara, something like that for him. You're gonna have to get a big arm, I think. I don't think
the Marlins did love Gleyber. They did. Yeah. They tried to get him multiple times from us.
It just seems like a fit. Like if I'm going to move Gleyber, I would move him there to try to add a pitcher. Because they could replace Gleyber Torres easier than they would be adding a pitcher. So, and that's probably a valuable piece to move for Alcantara because he's not going to come cheap. Even though he's not pitching that well, he's still not going to be cheap.
Change of scenery should do well though. I just don't want Sandy to go to the Red Sox. Oof.
Oh, that would suck. Jonathan,
they got the capital for it.
Yes, they do.
They could capital for
it. They could trade for anybody. They're the number one farm in baseball now, right? I think they're number one farm. So they could trade for anybody. I mean, if Skeens was actually a thing, they got the pieces to get him, right? And not blink an eye. I mean, they don't have room for their outfield prospects here. They don't have room for them. So you got to trade a couple of them. And what do you have? 3 in the top 100? And they're all outfielders. They don't have freaking room for them. So that's how you start to build a trade for a guy like Skeens or something like that. One of these frontline pitchers.
And that's another thing. That's another thing you might have to consider if you were to make this blockbuster trade that we talked about. You keep Skeens away from a rival team.
Damn right, man.
Because the Red Sox get him, then you're facing him, Crochet.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? They're kind of on the cusp. Like the Red Sox are a team that is probably going to be very active during this trade deadline because like the AL's open. Like the Yankees, I think are the best. I think we are the best team. I think the Tigers are right behind us, despite them having a better record than us. But the AL is more open than the NL is. Like the NL is a tight race. Like that NL West is with the Dodgers, Giants surprised a lot of people this year. The Padres, you know what I'm saying? The Diamondbacks could still make a run. And you got the Cubs, the Cardinals, Phillies, Mets, Braves are kind of on the outskirts in, but they're a team that can get hot as well. So the NL isn't as shut down as the AL is. So anybody in the AL might be able to go for it.
Yeah. And like we beat the Tigers last year in the playoffs. Like we got past them in the playoffs. But I don't know now. I think they're going to try to do whatever they can to get to that next level too. So Tigers are probably the team that frightens me most in the American League right now.
Yeah.
I think
we missed the Tigers. We missed the Tigers last year. They lost to the Guardians, which I'm
Guardians,
glad they kind of took us out. Yeah. Guardians are a team that I'm not really afraid of. I don't think I'm really afraid of anybody in the AL Central because we kind of have their number when it comes to that. I thought the Royals would be a lot better this year, especially with adding Jonathan India, but they've kind of taken at least a small step back. But it's still early in the season though.
Mm-hmm.
Houston's kind of right there. I'm not. It really just depends. The Mariners we just smacked. I really think we're the best team in the AL, and this isn't like me trying to poo-poo on anybody else or me just talking shit, but I really do think we're the best team in the AL. Despite us losing 2 out of 3 to Detroit, I think we can take them, when it matters. Especially because you got to consider we'll be having next time if we face them in the playoffs, we'll have Giancarlo Stanton back. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully a third baseman by then as well, with a lot of experience from other guys. Hopefully other guys step up, man. Because also keep in mind we played Detroit. Cody Bellinger was cold. He wasn't doing what he's doing now, so that matters.
Yep. And if we're clicking on all cylinders and everybody's healthy, we're going to be really hard to beat. Really, really hard. If we get all our bullpen reinforcements back, we get Luis Hill back, we're going to be tough, man. We're going to be really, really tough. So, and I agree. I think we're the best team in the AL, especially when we're healthy. So, but the Dodgers ain't going to be a cakewalk, right? The Padres aren't going to be a cakewalk. The Diamondbacks, none of these teams are going to be a cakewalk. So, even the Mets, I wouldn't sleep on the Mets. I think they're going to probably wind up trying to add something. Even the Phillies. The Phillies are in first place now. They're going to try to add. So they're going to try to maintain that. It's going to be a dogfight.
I got Yankees-Phillies World Series. I've been saying that all year.
Yankees-Phillies? Mm-hmm. That's a good World Series, man.
That's a good World Series. Phillies, man, the Mets have been struggling as of late. And Philly has just been they shot past them quick.
Yep.
Because the Mets had a 3 or 4 game lead. And within a matter of... It's just funny how baseball is. Because look at Cody Bellinger, right? Bellinger was batting under 200. Seemed like 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago. Now his average is up. You know what I'm saying? That's baseball, man.
Yeah. It's crazy. And it's just people talk about, Devin Williams. If it's not like if you're a starting pitcher, you throw 6 innings, give up 1 run. That's a good game. If you're a reliever, you throw an inning, you give up 1 run. That's a shitty game because your ERA is 10. Whereas if you're a starting pitcher, it's it's 1 if you're a starting pitcher. So it looks vastly different, right? So just these small sample sizes that, like Emmanuel Clase, people were poo-pooing on Devin Williams, but Clase was kicked out of the closer role a couple weeks ago by the Guardians. So he was just as bad as Devin Williams was. This happens. It happens to Josh Hader. It happened to all these guys. So it happened to Joe Nathan. It happened to some of the top relievers. Mo went through this too, right?
Yep.
So it's
not easy to be a reliever. People think because here's the thing, with an outing like we saw from Clark Schmidt tonight, right? And what we've seen in the past from Garrett Cole, starters have the leeway to be able to find it if they don't have it in the first inning. You know what I'm saying? They have a way to navigate through the innings. As a reliever, you have 1 inning. That's it. If you don't have it, you're going to get hit hard. Because then on top of that, guys are warmed up. The game is going, stuff like that. So relievers supposed to come in and have it turned on like that. That's what makes the best relievers. You were talking about Devin Williams. I kept telling everybody, pump the brakes on Devin Williams. Stop with the unnecessary Devin Williams. Hey, I just don't think that this guy's come over to the Yankees and forgot how to pitch. 9 the last 10 outings, no runs given up. You know what I'm saying? Now, credit to Aaron Boone for putting him in good situations as well. But he's looked good as of late. So this is why the mix with him, Weaver, Jonathan Loáisiga, Yankees get a lead past the 6th inning, it might be lights out. It might be night-night. Because you got 3 guys that can come in and shut shit down. You know what I'm saying?
And that's a nice trio right there. And you got you can even back it up even further if you need to. You got a lot of dudes that can come in and contribute. So, and they're going to be having more dudes coming back, reinforcements. So I feel good about this Yankee bullpen, but I do think they'll probably. I think I agree with you. They probably will add sometime a reliever at the deadline or before the deadline. And I like the proactive approach too, because that was one of the things it was notable last year. They got Jazz weeks before the deadline.
Out of nowhere, no one was talking about that. Next thing you know, trade for Jazz. Imagine how much more expensive Jazz would have been if they would have traded the deadline, because then you would have to compete with everybody, because there would have been other people that wanted him too. So you would have had to give up more. Like I said, be proactive. Within 3 weeks of the deadline is when you should start trying to pay attention to who's available out there, because then you'll get them for cheaper.
Yep. And if you could jump on it, man, that's what I would do. And I applaud the proactive approach, but I think they should do. I think it'd be wise for them to do it every year. if they can.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's going to be harder now because with the expanded playoffs, it's going to be more. It's going to be harder to do business. I get it, but this is where they can be creative and be bold. So, and I hope that they'll do that, man. If you can make, to kind of wrap it up, if you can make a prediction, early prediction, who do you think will be the biggest player trade at the deadline?
Sandy. Sandy's probably gonna be the biggest. Like that's the easy one. But Sandy's the name that's out there right now. Like, and everybody thinks the same way we're thinking. It's the Marlins, not Sandy. Everyone's thinking like if he goes to a change. Could you imagine if Matt Blake got his hands on Sandy?
Ooh.
Like, dude, former. I just like coming off an injury like that plays a factor. But just like how we saw with Cody Bellinger in his back, you know what I'm saying? As time goes on, the better they get. Sandy has a lot of controllable years as well. Imagine, I'm not even looking at just this year. I'm looking at next year. Imagine you get Matt Blake to work with Sandy, Cole, Fried, Rodon, Hill. Bro, that lineup, that rotation is deadly. You know what I'm saying? And Sandy would be inserted as the number 3. He's not being asked to be the number 1 guy. So I think Sandy's going to be a name that's on the move, but it's going to be expensive. In order to get Sandy for us, it's probably going to take Spencer Jones.
Probably.
And probably Spencer Jones. They'll ask for Ben Rice. I'd probably say no.
They might ask for Ben Hess or Bryce Cunningham, one of the top lately.
Which I'm okay with.
Yeah.
I'm okay with giving up arms because here's the thing, right? If you notice what the Yankees do, they go acquire arms from free agency. You know what I'm saying? They build the prospects for the position players, but go trade for arms. Cole, Fried, Rodon have all been brought in from other teams. But the guys like Volpe, Wells, Rice, Dominguez, guys that we're seeing contribute, Judge, obviously, are position players. So Yankees will keep their position players. That's why I think we'll see like a George Lombard Jr. up. But there are certain guys like, you know, if Chase Hampton was healthy, I would say he'd be out of there. You know what I'm saying? If Selvage is another one that might be out of there. We might not ever see them in Yankee uniforms because Yankees do trade pitcher prospects. Look what happened with Soto. How many pitcher prospects we gave up? A lot. You know, so that's the Yankees mantra. Pitcher prospects can go, but position players can stay. And you can go get yourself. This is why I think Paul Skeens ultimately will end up in New York Yankee, because when he hits that free agency, Yankees are going to be ready to pounce on him because this is what they do.
Yep, and they're going to have a lot of money off the books at that point. So all the big contracts will be gone. So the Yankees will be ready with the pocketbooks open. Let's go. Back up the truck, the Brinks truck, right? And just pay the man.
You're talking about like $400 for him.
Probably.
If he continues at this, $400 easily. Like, and then you'll think Cole won't be here no more. Cole won't be here anymore. So you still have Max Fried. Rodon might be on the way. Rodon probably be gone. But then you're going to have Luis Hill. You're going to have Max Fried and Paul potentially Paul Skeens in a couple of years. If that was the case, if it pans out in this hypothetical scenario, I'd sign up for that.
Yeah, baby. And you probably have Bryce Cunningham. I mean, like one of these dudes too. They'll be in there. The Yankees will be in a good spot. And if you can get Skeens pitching this way at like the age of 25, 26, yeah, sign me up for that. When we signed Cole, he was 28. When we signed Fried, he was 30, right? So I want to get one of these dudes when they're young. I really, really do. I can't remember last time we signed a pitcher who was that young. When we got Sabathia, he was like 28, I think. So
yeah, he was up there. Yeah,
Skeens will be younger than all these dudes, all of them.
He's gonna get paid. Oh. That's what I'm saying. Like take to the bank what I just said. I'm telling you, the Yankee mantra is they'll trade away pitching capital because they'll bring it in free agency.
Yeah,
they'll keep their position players. That's exactly how it is. We've seen it. CC Sabathia brought in from somewhere else. AJ Burnett brought in from somewhere else. Clemens brought in from somewhere else. Like all our great Yankee pitchers, brought in from somewhere else. Like which is fine because you're proving it. You're bringing in proven commodities, which is fine. So you don't have to worry about developing them. And then when Matt Blake sprinkles, the secret sauce on them, you know what I'm saying? Like it just helps them out even more. So I'm fine with that. Like, and if you keep the position players, trade away the pitching prospects.
And if you keep drafting these young position players and these young controllable contracts, it makes it easier to afford contracts like Paul Skeens. So it balances out things from a financial standpoint. So I think Cam Schlittler is another one. Yeah, he's been looking good. Alan Wine. There's a bunch of guys that look good right now. Well, I mean, I don't know where they're going to get opportunities right now because the rotation is a little full. You know, and we have Louis Hill coming back, and I don't know who you would move on from at that point to give one of these guys a chance. But I could see like Schlittler being, if the Yankees have a doubleheader, I could see him being called up on a 27th man starting one of the games, or Alan Wyman starting one of the games. I could see that, unless somebody gets hurt, then I can see an opportunity for Schlittler or something like that. But aside from that, I think it'd be a little bit difficult to call up Schlittler. And I don't want to call. I don't want to call up one of these guys to have them never play. I'd rather just continue to develop. So it's not fair to them to come up here and just sit on the bench and do nothing, just to be up here. Like that just doesn't do anything for their development. So
that's what people thought about Dominguez at first. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you started playing Trent Grisham over, and now Grisham's kind of cooled down. And Dominguez is hot at the right time, so Dominguez should get the majority of the playing time. It's simple as that. Like Trent Grisham today looked like shit. He looked bad today. But you know, we talking about pitchers like odd man out personally, and it has nothing to do with this guy. But I think Clark Schmidt is built for the bullpen. I really do, because like I think that he's built for that long relief. And I've been saying this since since people were saying, who should we start? Nestor Cortez or Clark Schmidt? I think Schmidt does great, even though, his last 3 outings, 6 innings, less than 3 runs given up. But I just think that stuff that he has, because he's lights out through the first 1.5 times through the order, that to me screams bullpen. You know what I'm saying? Because like as he goes on, he becomes more hittable. So it's like, like today, he battled today, definitely. He was getting hit a little bit early, but he battled today. He's pitched great for us. But ultimately, I think like at the cost that he's at, I would love to see him in the bullpen.
Kind of give him like 3-4 innings and be out.
Yeah, be that long relief guy that keeps it close. Like kind of what Yuri De Los Santos is kind of doing for us. Like keep it close and stuff like that,
It's guys like this that are, like if you have a starter that comes in and you're hoping to get 7 innings, but he gets his ass just tore up and he's out in 2, then you want to bring in a guy like Schmidt, because he could be the difference between needing 8 pitchers in a game or needing 3. And if you have a guy that can throw 4 or 5 innings out of nowhere and save the majority of the bullpen, that's exactly what I want to use a guy like that for. So and that to me was like Michael King. He's also turned into a starter now, but like it's guys like that have a lot of value. Like Yarborough, like he's given us serious value from the lefty side. So.
Absolutely.
And I hope that they continue to deploy him the way they're doing it, not overdoing it. Not he's being efficient with his pitching, so he's throwing like 5 innings and maybe 70 pitches or something like that. So he's being pretty effective with his stuff. He's not going 100 pitches like Clark Schmidt was like 100, almost 100 today, and didn't even get through 5. So it wasn't very efficient today. But again, I can it is what it is. It was bound to happen. So with the Yankees, so I'm just hoping that they rebound tomorrow. But tomorrow's another day.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's another day.
So I'm confident we'll take tomorrow's game.
Yeah, bro. Brother, I want to thank you for coming on, man. This is a great time, man. And as we get closer to the deadline, let's do our trade deadline predictions. Give us a little bit of time to prepare for that. And that's a lot of fun too. And there's a couple other things I want to have you on. I'd like to have you on, bring Ace, bring Max on, we'll bring NFE on, and we could do a little 4 horsemen discussion. And we can go into some stuff too. But anybody in here that's not subscribed to Ace, please make sure you support Ace's channel. He's another fantastic creator. His family, man, one of the great ones. So appreciate you coming on, brother. Peace and love to everybody. Thank you, everybody. And let's go Yankees. Have a great night. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.